Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Dear Zander Mander, where you ask the questions and I answer them. This is a very special episode of Dear Zander Mander. There's a questions that I've been asked a lot over the years, and it's all about bullying. I didn't want to answer this question on my own, however I will answer it. You will get my answers to these, but I also asked a lot of people these same questions because I wanted to see how everybody else felt about this. So I sent these questions out into the World Wide Web, the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, through my emails, everywhere that I possibly could. I sent out and asked people these questions. Now, there's going to be a lot of people in this episode that you know, that you've heard of. There's some pretty famous people that have answered this question. But there's a lot of you that are just you. And your answers to these questions are they're powerful and they're inspirational. So I'm going to share these with you. I'm going to answer all the questions. I'm going to show you all the answers that I got via Twitter, via Facebook. There'll be some Twitter responses and Facebook responses and email testimonies, some essays in that. I have copy and pasted these exactly as they are, so there was no adjustment to what their answers truly were to these questions. And there's going to be some video responses. There might even be a few surprise phone calls. You never know. But let's get to these questions. Let's get to this subject. Before I start, let me say this. I know you are all out there used to my stupid jokes and my trivia fun and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that this episode. This episode is strictly about this subject. This is a very powerful subject. It's a very emotional subject. And I hope that if you out there are being bullied, that you might find that you are not alone and that you will find a way to find strength. And I hope that you'll find some inspiration through this video. At the end of the video, I'm going to show some places where you can get help if you are being bullied and no one around you wants to help you. But I will tell you this, there are people out there that do want to help you and will help you. So, here we go. To start out this video, what is a bully? And let's not forget cyberbullying. You know, a lot that we see on the news, that we read in the newspapers, yes, there are still newspapers out there, or that we see on our social media sites, is that there are a lot of bully-related suicides. I'm going to start with a question that I sent out there to everybody, and that question was, what names were you called that your bullies knew would hurt you? Now, you're going to see a bunch of names fly by here. And some of them you may think are silly or stupid or whatnot, but to that particular person, those names crushed them. They were extremely hurtful to them and affected their lives in ways that, well, take a look. Let's get to these other questions. Have you ever been bullied, and how do you deal with bullies? Here are the answers that I got. Oh, hold on, we got a phone call. Hi Susie, how you doing?
Hi, Xander. I'm great, living up in New Orleans.
Oh, that's fabulous. You know why we're talking? Today's subject is about bullying, and I've got a couple questions for you. The first question is, have you ever been bullied?
Of course. I grew up a super faggot in rural outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, I was teased on constantly at school. I was out as a freshman in high school, and I was not, quiet about it. I had pink hair half the time and rainbow outfits and whatever. I loved it. I've always been a little too outspoken for my own good, so I dealt with it.
Okay, so how did you deal with it? How do you deal with bullies?
In my case, they kind of backed off when I came out. Like, they bullied me. I was out maybe like midway through my freshman year, and at first it was pretty intense. It was pretty obvious I was a gay kid. I was a little shy when you're a freshman, of course, new experience, new school. But I think I did the Day of Silence that year, which is where you have a bunch of little cards that say, I'm not going to speak today because the rights of gays have been silenced for so many years, or blah, blah, blah. Somehow that was just what I remember my official coming out. I did that all day, so it was obvious to the teachers and to all the students and everybody I gave the card to that I was gay. and I got less bullying than ever that day. My actual bullies, like my direct bullies that were like slamming me in the lockers and always yelling things at me and throwing things at me, just were kind of completely shocked that I would just be up front and say that I was. And then from then on, it was easier. I mean, I still got bullied, but I could say something back to them. Or, anytime anyone's ever called me a faggot, I'm just like, yup, you are correct. Good for you. Astute.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you get bullied today as an adult?
Rarely. I'm a pretty type A personality, so I tend to lead conversations, or I'm a natural leader. But I will a lot of times people, even in adult life, being bullied, especially in work situations or certain social situations, and I try to make it a point to prevent that if possible.
Okay.
Or like to stand up for the underdog.
All right, well, I'm going to ask you a couple other things. One is, I know that you're new to New Orleans. You're just getting started there, but in St. Louis, you're a pretty predominant queen there. I like to consider you a club queen, meaning like half club kid, half drag queen, because your stuff is just so different than everybody else's. Do you feel that you were ever bullied for the performance artist side of you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There was a period in St. Louis where I wouldn't even call myself a drag queen. I was only a performance artist. I would only perform if you booked me specifically for an art show, because I was so sick of the drag community and where they labeled me and what I could do and what I couldn't do, and the fact that I wouldn't wear boobs just meant I was not doing drag. You've seen that underfuck. If you're not wearing nails, you're not doing drag, and that's just what I got constantly. And I said, fine, then I'll be a performance artist, and I'll take all my fans somewhere else to a not drag show, and they'll all still see me there, it got to the point though that I did well at it. Like I got coverage, and I won things, and it was fun. But I'm a drag queen, whether they think I am or not, whether anyone else on this planet thinks I am. I'm a drag queen. Like that's what I identify with. That's how I usually do my face, and even if I'm not, whatever. I think Lee Bowery was in many ways a drag queen, and that's kind of my biggest inspiration in existence. But he would probably argue that he wasn't.
What a way to throw in a legend there.
And I live for Lee Bowery. Like he's my Jesus. Like that's what that's the goal.
Oh, great. All right, last question, dear. There's going to be a lot of people listening to this, younger, your age, and older, that are still dealing with this problem. Any words of encouragement or inspiration that you'd like to give them on the subject?
I wish it gets better because it's so tacky, but I'm not going to.
It doesn't always get better.
It doesn't always get better. In fact, it actually gets quite harder. But if you're being bullied, especially if you're younger, you are getting a gift. You are so lucky right now. You don't know it, but the more you're bullied, the harder it is, the more difficult of a situation you go through, the stronger you get. I know that sounds, cliche and, blah, 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 whatever, but it really, really is the truth. Anything can hit me these days. Anything. Anyone on the street or at the club or at my job or anyone can say anything horrible and really offensive, and it rolls right off my back. I don't mind at all. I'll come back with something way better and rate them, the house down. And it's because I got bullied. If I hadn't started practicing this 15 years ago, then I wouldn't be the cunt that I am today, and I love it.
Fabulous. All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you. I had so much fun.
I love you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, Xander.
Hi, Scion. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Xander. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, dear?
I am wonderful. I'm doing much better. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you. You know what the subject is about,
Yes.
so I'm going to go straight ahead and ask you, dear.
Okay.
Question number 1. Have you ever been bullied?
Absolutely. Most of my young life, I was actually, because of bullying, taken out of school by my mom, who is a lesbian, and I was taken out of school at the age of 15. So I missed a lot of school. I failed a lot, like 3 times, because of being bullied. I would come home with bloody noses and gashes, bruises, crying, etc. And it just was fucking ridiculous. You know, I was one of those kids that, at first, I did not fight back. I would run. I would hide. I would avoid class. Hence, you know, the lack of education and, you know, being pulled out of school. It was fucked up. I just, you know, growing up in the ghetto as a black, you know, gay child, and, you know, a lot of people don't like to use the word, but you know, as a black fag growing up in the hood, it was kind of like expected that I was going to get, you know, my ass kicked every day. So it was ridiculous for me. It's something that one never forgets, and I will never forget it.
Scion, the most important question I have for you is, how did you then, or how do you now deal with bullies?
I deal with bullies by being able to be confrontational. I go toe to toe.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by that?
I learned that I needed to be able to protect myself by any means necessary from my mother and my mother's friends, my family, people, you know, the fags and the sissies that raised me, the lesbians and the dykes that raised me. I learned that I needed to fight to protect myself, and then learn how to speak how I felt so that I could tell somebody. That's how I confront bullies. And today, if a bully tried to bully me, I would pray that I reacted from what I know, because I need for our young people to know that it's all right to fight back, that we don't always have to run.
Do you mean physically or mentally, or what it takes for that moment?
What it takes for that moment, by any means necessary for me, Scion is saying, I want our young people to know that if you're being bullied, try not to be afraid to defend yourself. Try not to be afraid to swing that punch back, high kick, that Vogue move, that Beyonce move. Use it to figure out a way to protect yourself physically, so that you can protect yourself emotionally, so that you can be able to go to someone and tell them, people are fucking with you. We don't teach our kids how to own their voice. And I'm thankful to God, to the universe, that my mother taught me how to own my voice. And that's what I would want our generation forever, for all times, to know. Defend yourself and learn how to speak up and advocate for yourself. That is what I would teach on how to deal with bullies.
Okay, let me ask you this to clarify. Because you use the word punch and kick, and then you use the word speak. When you're saying punch and kick, do you mean physically, or do you mean verbally or mentally? Do you understand what I'm trying to ask you?
Yes, I do. And your question makes sense to me. I was just waiting for you to finish. Xander, I mean all of it. I mean, take your fist and hit back. Take your leg, your foot, and kick back. I do not believe that we should teach our children nonviolence if we didn't teach them how to survive.
Okay. This is your opinion and this is your
Yep.
words,
Yep.
and there are so many that agree with you, and there's many that disagree with you
Oh,
also.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I just want everybody out there to hear your voice and to hear you say these things, because there's so many people that look up to you for what you do.
Yep.
So, well, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Zander. Zander Mander. Thank you.
Darling, I love you. We've been friends for quite a while, and
You
I'm so
too.
grateful
I
that
love
you
you
called
too.
in to talk to us tonight.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'll talk to you soon, okay, sweetheart?
Okay, baby. Thanks a
All
lot
right.
for asking me.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey Xander, Sigh from Naked Highway. So today we're talking about bullies, and I don't think there's anyone who hasn't been bullied in their life. Um, and I don't think I dealt with mine the right way. I mean, my whole thing was to fight back, and that's why my nose isn't perfectly straight anymore. But um, the best revenge you can have with a bully and how to deal with one is like, you know what? Just continue to be you. No one ever got anywhere in life by following the rules. And for me, that's definitely true because it's like, I'm surrounded by people I love and music and art and, this lovely mannequin right here. And sometimes I go back to my old neighborhood and I see all these, I see all my old bullies and stuff, and they're all just miserable and, have too many kids and, you know, never got to do any cool things in their life. And it's just like, you know what? Sorry, just having them see me being, awesome and happy and everything is the best revenge, Yeah.
Hi Z. I've had some experience with bullying, not very pleasant, but then again, what bullying experience is pleasant, right? As a kid, because I was so puny and so small, I used to get beaten up all the time. And I remember coming home one day crying to my mother, and she said to me, you need to fight back. Because the minute you fight back, then these girls will know that you're not going to tolerate them picking on you anymore. Because at that time, we didn't call it really bullying, we called it picking on them, right? So one day I go to school and this girl comes up to me and she, for no apparent reason, tells me that she's going to beat me up after school at 3 o'clock. So I hold off and I hit the girl. And I got my ass whipped before 3 o'clock. But the next day when I went back to school and I saw the girl, I thought for sure she was going to attack me. But instead she turned over to her friends and said, that's one crazy little Puerto Rican. So the moral of the story is that you have to fight back. With this whole cyberbullying nonsense, you can, disconnect your internet or, turn off your phone. But when someone is in your face or when someone is trying to slap you around, you need to fight back. It's survival.
Now, I know that you may have seen quite a few people on the show that you may have seen so far, but this next conversation comes from a mother of 4 who lives in Chicago. And I'm sure that a lot of you out there have heard about Chicago and all of its troubles. And especially its infamous South Side. Well, this is a mother of 4 whose oldest child is 16, and she lives on the South Side of Chicago. And I am extremely grateful that she called to talk about this subject and how she deals with it, and how she deals with it and teaches her children about it. Everybody, please welcome Regina from Chicago. She's a mother of 4, and I thought it would be nice to get her perspective on this, her answers to this. Hi, Regina.
Hi, Zander.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Now, as I said, you've got 4 children. How old are they?
Yes, my oldest is about to be 16 Tuesday. My son just turned 14. I have a 13-year-old girl and an 11-year-old girl.
Have you had to talk to any of them about bullies yet?
Yes, I've been talking to them constantly. Even when they were little, I always talked to them about bullying. And, now it's an issue. My son had an issue actually with trying to get bullied. And I went to the school and talked to everybody, and it's not an issue anymore. But I've had issues with the bullying.
Okay. What advice do you give to your kids when they're confronted with a bully? What do you suggest that they do?
Well, I always listen, and I always try to understand the next person. And for me, it will have to be the situation. I have different situations with different things. I can only go by from my experience. I just let my kids know that there's going to be bullying. No matter where you go, no matter if you are a good person, a bad person, or whatever, someone is always trying to test their strength. And you have to be the bigger person. Of course, if there's any physical anything, always let them know, look, you always defend yourself. But a bully is going to be a bully, and he's going to bully you until you stand for yourself. Never, never, ever, ever put your guard down to a bully, because if you do, he will always get in, I guess, mess with you or whatever. I don't know. I just tell my kids to be aware and just, I guess, handle the situation as is. Of course, you tell the adult, of course that, but I feel like if it's physical, then it's you or them, and it definitely should be you, Because if the other kids see and you get bullied, and they're going to try and do the same thing, and they're going to always think that you are a pushover, and you're not a pushover. You just have to handle your business with bullying. I feel like the person that is the bully, he's a coward, and it's something that he's trying to prove. Maybe he didn't grow up with a parent or a father or mother or whatever, and he's angry at something.
Right.
Try to at least talk, and if this person is not talking, then you go and you tell your teachers, and if it gets out of hand, then you come to me and I will handle the situation.
So, all right.
I really don't mind handling any situation, especially when it comes down to my kids.
Right. Let me ask you this then on telling, because a lot of kids are out there are afraid to tell their teachers, or they're afraid to tell their parents. Is that something that you recommend that they do as a mother, as a first step, is to tell?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I recommend that's the first step. I always let my kids know that's the first step. You tell an adult. And if the adult cannot handle that situation, then you come to your mom. And you better believe your mom is going to handle whatever situation that it is.
I don't doubt
I believe you're supposed to tell an adult.
Okay. I don't believe that. I don't doubt that you'll take care of it.
Yes, I will. I will do just that. I will take care of it. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. It offers a mother's perspective, and I appreciate that.
No problem.
You take care.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You take care. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello. Hi, Cam.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, I am perfect.
Good. You know why I'm calling, dear? We're doing the special episode, the bullying episode, and I've got 2 questions for you. The first one is, have you ever been bullied?
Fortunately, no, I have not.
Is there a reason why you think that you haven't been bullied? Because you're such a predominant member of the LGBT community, what kept you from being bullied?
I don't think it's anything that kept me from being bullied. I think it's more of me not letting things that people say or do get to me. Growing up, I just always had a thicker skin than most. I don't let things that people say or do get to me or bother me. It's more of I'm going to continue to enjoy and live my life, and it's nothing that no one else can say or do about it. So I don't think that being bullied was ever going to actually be an issue, because words are just that. They're words. I was taught that very early on. That words they only have the amount of power that you give them. So if I don't give it power, it has no control over me. That's the same thing as people. If you give them that power over you, then that's how it's all based on your self-esteem. And I've always had a very high one for myself.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If you see somebody being bullied, how would you handle it? Or, well, let me put it this way. What would you say to the people out there that are being bullied? Do you have any advice for them on how to deal with them?
The only advice that I could honestly give is stay true to yourself. Again, words only have the power in which you give them. Physical actions towards you, there's always different avenues. You always tell somebody. You don't have to always fight back because someone points at you have to fight back. You don't have to do that. There's enough laws out there now to protect us against bullying and people against bullying, that you can just go to your local police department or go to your parents, or depending on your age, go to someone and get a little extra advice. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about how much power you're giving someone else over you. And the goal is to not do it.
That's true. Now let me ask you this then, follow up then. If you are out and you're seeing someone being bullied, do you step in, or do you help, or do you ignore it, or what do you do?
Actually, I have stepped in to help in certain situations like that. If someone's being bullied, whether I see it physically in front or you bring it to me, I'm just that big enough person I will sit there and explain to you, and I will give you the complete, I will break it down to you. Hey, don't let anyone else have that much power over your life, whether you're being bullied in a relationship or it's just a random person, because people don't believe that you can be bullied in relationships, and you really can. So I've stepped in, and I'll go to that person that's bullying them and go, hey, that's not right. This person might not be as strong-willed as you are. They might think that they're just joking and having fun, and the other person on the inside is dying because of what's going on with them and happening to them. So sometimes it just takes somebody to point out someone else's actions, and that's what I do. I'll go to that person and go, hey, what you're doing is wrong. What if I did this to you? What if XYZ talked about you like this? How would you actually feel? And sometimes that actually works. Other times they get big and puffy, but guess what? That's when you show that other person you don't back down, because you show them that you're always in their corner no matter what.
Right.
So I would talk to both parties, and if it can be resolved that way, and once you talk to both parties, you bring them back together. You let the person being bullied sit there and speak their piece. Hey, this is what I don't like. And if that person, they can either say screw it, or hey, I didn't know you were actually feeling like that. I really do apologize.
Right.
So I've helped plenty of people in this situation, and that's what it always holds. And most of the time, the bully will go, "Oh, well, I was just joking. I didn't know it was going to go that far. They felt that way." So sometimes they just need someone to hear them. And most bullies, they started from somewhere. Something in their life wasn't correct, or something happened to them as they were growing up, and they didn't know how to handle it, so they take it out on the next smallest person. So sometimes you just have to find where the root or the original problem started, so that it can be tweaked and fixed.
Right. No, I totally understand that. Believe me. And I've seen situations like that, and that's good of you to help it, like that, where you're bringing both sides of the coin in. Because usually one person doesn't understand why the other one's doing it, and sometimes the bully themselves doesn't even understand why they're doing it.
Correct.
Well, I want to thank you for giving us your opinion and your voice on this. Everybody, say thank you to Cameo Depri.
No problem.
You take care, and I will talk to you soon, okay?
All right, you have a good one, sweetheart.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Jade. Thanks for talking to me today.
Hey, Xander, how are you?
I'm good. It's always good to hear your voice, baby.
Good, good. Just got in from work. I'm glad that we can able to do this conversation. I'm very interested in being able to be part of, something that's sending such a positive message.
Yeah, and I knew you'd be somebody to talk to about it. So you know the subject is about bullying. My first question for you is, have you ever been bullied?
Well, honestly, I mean, being raised with your typical Puerto Rican mother, I mean, there's no way in hell that you can get bullied. Like, she was one of those people that if somebody picks on you, you better handle business, because if you come home, she's gonna beat beat my ass. So, other than that, no, she's amazing. She's always helped me be strong and true to myself and stand up for what I believe in. So I've never really experienced hands-on being bullied. I mean, there has been times where I've noticed where people are staring or looking, but fortunate enough, I haven't experienced that, but I have unfortunately seen and witnessed people, on the other hand, get bullied, and I've always been one to stand up for what I believe in, and what I believe in is definitely not looking down on someone unless you're helping them up. And so I would always, get involved in trying to help and, make sure that nobody ever felt bullied. But I do know that this is something that's been going on for years, and it's very, very, alive, and it's sad. And the best thing that I've been able to do to help has been just spread the word of, how it's basically ignorance. And as long as we can show these kids that don't know what they're doing, what our side of the story is and who we are as people, I mean, it helps a lot. I mean, I also Twitter all the time. I give out, like, Trevor Project's hotline number. I just tweeted that out. And I had a lot of emails of kids saying thank you, because they, as big as Trevor Project is now, they didn't even know that there was a number they could reach out to talk to. So, I mean, it's very important for everybody to be aware that there is help out there, and, we are here to help.
I was going to ask you, since you hadn't been bullied, if you'd seen others be bullied and what you did, but you answered that question already. So my next question for you is, do you have something to say to somebody who's listening right now that's being bullied? What do they need to do? What would be your advice?
You definitely need to find help. You need to get these numbers. I mean, Trevor Project is huge help. Any of these girls, I mean, all the girls from RuPaul's Drag Race, I mean, especially from season 1, I mean, it's such a blessing that we were able to become a show that really shine light on who we are as individuals, and we're not monsters. And look, once again, I go back to that. Most of the people that are bullies are just ignorant to who we are and just scared of the fact. And, and what's sad is to find out that most of them are sometimes closeted gays that don't know how to deal with their own frustrations and take it out on us. So it's definitely, find somebody who you can trust and you can talk to. If you don't, there's hotlines out there that you can call and find help. And just don't give up, stay strong and stick through it, and you'll be fine.
I totally agree with you. And that's the one thing that I've learned in my research on this, is that a lot of the kids are afraid to tell somebody. They're afraid to reach out. So reaching out online or on the phone to people like the Trevor Project and others, which I will have a list of at the end of the show, I think that's a way for them to get help also.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then it's just something for yourself to let that go. I mean, you feel so much better about yourself. With any problem you have, you can't hold that in and bottle up. I mean, eventually it's going to blow up, and it's probably not going to be in the best way, So you have to let that all out. You have to explore your emotions and talk to people who have gone through the same thing that you're going through, because the one thing you have to remember is gone through one or another that has made us feel inferior and not be able to move forward and just feel completely horrible. So talking and letting it out and finding someone that can be there for you is key in the situation.
I totally agree. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for taking the time to talk with me and to let everyone out there hear your voice on this subject. It's really appreciated.
Absolutely. And, you can always follow me on Twitter at Sotomayor Jade, or on Facebook, Jade Sotomayor. And it may not be the same day, but I always get back to all my fans, and I write to them and I answer their questions. And if you need any help finding any information, I'll be there.
And I can verify that Jade is the type of queen, the type of person that will write you back. So you heard her. Give her a message. She will get back to you. Darling, I love you to death. You take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is amazing. You're an amazing person.
Thank you. You take care, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, love. Ciao.
All right, bye-bye. Here's a question that I sent out that I didn't get a whole lot of responses to. And that question was, are you a bully? As a matter of fact, I got no responses to this question at all. The other question that I asked was, are you a bystander? I didn't get a lot of responses to that question, but I did get one, and it's pretty powerful. Take a look. Now that you've seen and heard all these other testimonials from everyone else, I guess it's my turn to answer these questions. First question is, what names had I been called? Gay, faggot, queer, and what's funny, or it's not funny, is I was being called these names at such a young age that I didn't even know what these words meant. I just know that they were meant to hurt me. But at that time, they weren't hurting me as much as they were confusing me because I didn't know what they meant. But after I found out what these words meant, after I got a little older, that's when they really started to hurt. Especially because I was growing up in a time when being gay was completely unacceptable. I mean, nowadays you see gay TV shows, gay movies. The gay lifestyle, the gay culture is more and more accepted, across the entire world. But back then, when I was young and when I was a teenager, no fucking way was this accepted. It was just a horrible, horrible time to be in for someone that didn't understand and didn't know, and it was confusing and it was hurtful, and I just can't explain it to you. You would have to live in that time period. And this was a time with no Facebook, no Twitter, no cell phones, no computers. this was just all one-on-one interaction. You know, which leads to the question, had I ever been bullied? Yeah, I was bullied constantly. I was bullied by my own family. They were calling me these names. They were doing these things to me. And I didn't understand it. You know, I was getting it from, you know, in school and outside at the bus stop and, you know, everywhere that I went. But to get it at home too, I guess that's what made it so confusing for me. And after I learned what was really happening, what made it so hurtful too. You want examples of being bullied? I remember being at school and being pinned in a stairwell to go down. The school was, you know, 3 levels. And I remember being pinned in a stairwell by like 5 or 6 guys, you know, with the lead bully, of course, right there. And they were just calling me names and poking at me, and they pushed all my books out of my hand and threw them on the floor. And the only way I could get out of it was just to push one away and run away. And my books were still laying there. I never got them back. It was just one example of a hard time. There was another time when I was in 6th grade by one of the bullies. We were in a science class, and I dropped my papers, you know, on the floor by my desk. I was still sitting down, and he came around and thought he was Mr. Big Shot and stepped on my papers. Well, by that time, I kind of had it with this guy, and I reached down to pick up my papers, and he stepped on my papers, and he stepped on my hand, and I reached up with my underhand, and, well, I clocked him one right in the chin. He backed off. I got my papers, but I'm the one who got sent to the principal's office, and I'm the one who got detention. I'm the one who got in trouble for it. Back then, they didn't deal with bullies. They deal with the person that was doing it. I told them what was going on, you know, not just that day, but, you know, how this guy kept doing this before that. He didn't get in a lick of trouble. Didn't even get called down. Nothing. Which is why I'm really glad, you know, that schools and things, that this subject has become more predominant in the media and through people's lives, and that is because there are a lot of schools that have zero tolerance now. I wish I was in one of those schools at the time. I really do. Another one of the questions was, how do I deal with bullies? Well, that was one example, is how I dealt with that one bully. I mean, he continued to bully me, don't get me wrong. I got in trouble, he didn't, so he continued to bully me. Growing up, my life completely changed. It was, as I said, I grew up at a time where being gay was completely unacceptable. I was in a relationship in high school. I went to a private high school for 2 years, and I was in a private relationship with a guy. No one knew. We couldn't let anyone know. Then he died at the age of 19, and I was left alone. I was just graduating in high school. I was 16 years old at the time. He was just turning 19, so he was two and a half years older than I was. I was alone. And being gay was becoming really, really bad at that time. A couple years after that, AIDS broke out. And that was the worst time in the world to be gay. Because if you were gay, you had AIDS automatically. So there was a whole new mindset of bullying going on at that time. Because of this, I started to do drugs. And I continued to do drugs, and I was doing some pretty hard drugs. I was doing everything I could to escape. That's how I was dealing with the bullying at that time. Even though I was in my late teens, you know, going into my 20s, I was still being bullied. But as it turns out, those drugs changed me even farther from who I was than what the bullies were doing. For years and years I did these things, and for years and years I was becoming an aggressive, angry person. And it turns out that I have a lot of medicinal allergies. I'm allergic to a lot of narcotics, especially things that have morphine derivatives in them. And they weren't just hurting me physically and making me sick. They were mentally changing me. They were changing my personality. They were changing who I was. And this went on for quite a while. I do have to say, I don't do drugs anymore. It has been, oh my gosh, I can't even count the years now, how long it's been. But that was just one way of escaping that didn't work for me, obviously, because it cost me a lot of friends, it cost me family, it cost me a lot. There was another way after I discovered that I had these allergies to drugs and I couldn't do them anymore. I had to find a new way of escaping, the way people were treating me, because Zander Mander was pretty much in full force at this time, and I had to find a way of dealing with the bullies and with the people that hated me and the people that didn't want anything to do with me because of, being gay or who I was or who I am. So I did something pretty drastic. I cut every single person out of my life. Everybody that I knew, everybody that I loved, gone. I needed to bring in only positive people into my life. People that would love me for who I am and that I could love back. It was a very, very hard transition, but this is the way that I dealt with it. And I have to tell you, almost 2 decades later, I'm a happy person. It got better for me. Don't get me wrong. Let's take this back to why have I never done a It Gets Better video? Because I would have felt like a hypocrite doing it. Because it doesn't always get better. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't always go away. It does get better. There will always, always be people out there that don't like you, don't accept you for who you are, that will give you shit for it, that will give you a hard time. There will always be those people out there. But you can do, and this isn't something that I'm saying do this, but this is what I did, is I cut all the negative people out of my life. I kept only positive people in my life and people that accepted me for who I was. Now, I don't have a million gazillion friends. I don't have a large family. I don't have all those things. But I do have a close-knit circle of friends that I love and adore and that I have no question as to whether they love me or not, because they do. They call me on the phone. They write me letters. They send me emails. They send me cards. They send me presents. They are there. They have my back when I need it. They are there to support me when I'm down. This is what I mean by having positive people. Now, granted, I just said they do all these things for me. I do the same things for them, too. It's a give and take. You can't just expect people to love you and accept you and be who you are. You have to give them the same respect and the same dignity right back at them. But that's what I did, is I cut everything negative out. I stopped and I walked away. There was a lot of bad that people did to me. In turn, there was a lot of bad that I did to them. And then when it got just so big and so out of control, that's when I had to take control and say no more. This is me. This is my life. I'm a good person. I'm a happy person. That's what I want in my life. So that's what I have now because of doing that. I know you out there have people in your life that love you, and there are people in your life that don't. Get rid of those people. Keep the people that love you close to you, and realize that there are more out there that do love you. You are not alone in this. You may feel like you are, but you're not. I was there. I'm still there. I still get it now. But I have more people that love me than people who hate me. So I want to ask you, are you being bullied right now? Do you need help? The first thing you need to do is you need to tell someone. Tell your parents, tell your friends, tell your teachers, tell your coworkers, tell someone that you're being bullied. There is somebody out there who is going to understand, and they're going to help you. No one should be bullied. Not you, no one should be bullied. It's unacceptable behavior in whatever place that you're at. Whether you are in school, whether you're on a playground, whether you are at work, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter if you are a child, a teenager, or an adult. Bullying is completely unacceptable. And if you're being bullied, there is help out there for you. And if no one within your immediate circle or your authoritative figures will help you, at the end of the show, I'm going to give you a bunch of numbers and websites that you can go to. These people will help you. You are not alone. I want to say thank you to everybody who responded to this, whether it had been via Facebook, Twitter, emails, phone calls. I don't know how you found out about this particular episode, but I want to thank every single one of you for responding to it, because one of these responses out there is going to help somebody, and I thank you for that. I just want to let you know that if you're watching this, if you want to comment on this, via Facebook or on YouTube in the comments, all comments on this will be approved, because I'm not allowing any bully out there to use this as a way to bully us that have responded, that have talked, or anyone else out there that they may want to direct their issues at. So if you want to leave a comment, please do. They will be looked through and they will be approved. If you want to leave your story, or if you want to leave some inspiration in the comments, please do. They will be posted. Everything positive will be posted, because we need to let all these victims of bullying out there know they are not alone. I want to thank you all for joining me for this very special episode. And as always, please remember, you have fun and you get home safe. I'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.